Hello, leader. It's Shannon with Team KLC here, welcoming you to another fabulous episode of the Fierce Factor podcast. This week, we are bringing another live expert guest session with one of our awe-inspiring powerhouse Pop Leadership Academy members. If you ever wondered what kind of women join our programs, what kind of conversations we have, and what it's like working with our team, then I think you'll love this behind-the-scenes conversation highlighting the real-life stories of scrappy founders creating lucrative, deeply fulfilling, life-first businesses. Without further ado, please enjoy this episode of the Fierce Factor podcast.
Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast for those of you that are tuning in here on audio and or video. And this is welcome to another session of what we do once a month, which is an expert showcase of our brilliant Academy members here. And today I have the great pleasure of interviewing Jolee Hughes, who's a nurse practitioner and the co-founder of The Look Shop, which has deep roots in, am I going to say it right, Forsyth, Georgia? That just, yes. that sounds so country. So we'll talk about that, where she has always dedicated herself to serving her cherished community. She earned her Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Middle Georgia State University in 2011 and further advanced her expertise by becoming a nurse practitioner graduating from Georgia College in 2015. With over a decade of experience as a registered nurse and nurse practitioner, Jolee transitioned into the aesthetics field in 2018, driven by a lifelong ambition to open a business alongside her sister. We'll talk about that. Jolee delivers exceptional patient care through education and personalized treatment plans. She completed the Allergan Medical Institute Master Course Training and the Academy for Injection Anatomy to stay at the forefront of aesthetic advancements. Her goal is to help patients achieve a naturally youthful appearance by addressing specific concerns with customized solutions, ensuring that each treatment enhances their inherent beauty without altering their core identity. Outside of her professional endeavors, Jolee enjoys a vibrant life with her husband, Matt, and their three children, Byron, Emma, and Hope, and Emma, Hope, and Charlie. Oh, cute names. She is passionate about weight training, exploring new destinations, attending sporting events, and indulging in a good book. And so much beyond that. So I'm so excited to have this conversation with you in the virtual IRL. Welcome to the podcast too, Jolee.
Hey, thank you. I'm excited to do this. I was just thinking I probably need to update my bio some because I've done a lot more.
I always think that as I'm reading these. I know, because I think Shan pulls them from like your website or whatever. Yeah. And I'm always, when I read them, I'm always like, there's just so much flavor that's not in this, And so I think there's a lot. So we'll talk about that today. We'll just, give the real bio and the real insight to who Jolee is. So why don't you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself and your mission at The Look Shop.
So I guess it starts with that I've always kind of been interested in owning a business. Even as like a child, I grew up as an equestrian, and we had horses at our farm, and I taught riding lessons, and I did all these things to make money, and I remember saving money to buy my first thing that I wanted to buy, and I was always interested, but I didn't really know how to do it. And then I went to the University of Georgia. I got a marketing degree, and got out and was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I don't know. So I went and I had a job, and I was like, I've got to figure something else out. This is not for me. And so I went to nursing school. And we'll get into my sister and I went to nursing school together. So we were both had graduated, and we're like, we've got to do something. So go to nursing school. worked as a nurse, decided I don't want to do bedside nursing forever. Worked in the pediatric children's hospital here locally, but I loved doing procedures, loved it. Like with pediatrics, you get to do a lot of your own procedures because they don't want a lot of strangers coming in the room and things like that. So I just loved the hands-on. So then as a nurse practitioner, I was like, I do love this. I love taking care of people, but I don't just love just talking to people all day, and just sending prescriptions and things like that. I really want some hands-on. So I said, I think I'm going to train to be, do aesthetics. Like it was kind of like I, had done some myself, and I was like, I think this is something I would really, really enjoy. And I like the artistry behind it. And so I just, I paid at a local med spa, said, hey, if you'll come work for us, you can pay like $400 and we'll train you. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. It was really that basic of how I got started. But then, and my sister and I did that together too. So we've always kind of done things together. So we were both working, kind of moonlighting at this local med spa, and I just fell in love with it. Fell in love with aesthetics. Fell in love with the business of aesthetics. But was like, this is not what I want. This isn't the atmosphere I want to be in. It was more spa, less medical, and just. I was like, I want to own my own business, and I want to do this the way I like, the kind of place I would want to go and to work. And so, so that was 2019. So we all know what happened the next, March in 2020, but it worked out absolutely perfect. It's like God's divine timing, because we bought a building. And we hired a local business consultant, and he was a banker, so he knew nothing about the industry, but he had helped two girls that we know open a hair salon. And we're like, hey, if you can open a hair salon, you can help us open this medical aesthetics business. So we bought a building, and we spent from 2020 to 2021 renovating the building, and then also meeting weekly to plan our business. And he helped us immensely in the beginning, like starting, like made us look at numbers and made us like think through things, that we normally probably would have just been like, okay, that sounds good, but he helped us kind of get at least a good foundation to get started. And I think that I go back to thinking that was probably a very pivotal point for us to do that. But we were working full time. We were renovating building mostly ourselves, and then with the help of our husbands, and planning our business. And then we opened our first location in Forsyth in May of 2021.
Wow. Well, congratulations. Such an interesting background. So it's not uncommon for me to interview somebody who has a story where aesthetics was they stumbled into aesthetics, right? So but most clinical providers in aesthetics at least started on a clinical path, right? It sounds like you have a degree in marketing. So you kind of started on the business side. You grew up on a farm, it sounds like.
Yes.
So tell me about your town. Do you live in a small town now?
Yes, I live in Forsyth. Yes.
Forsyth. Okay.
So I live there. I grew up there, went to school there. There are, I think our population now is probably about 4,500 people. When
4,500.
What now?
4,500.
4,500.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
People in the city. Probably when I was growing up, we've had a big influx of population. So probably when I was there, it was about 2,500 people living there as I grew up there. And I always said I was going to move away to a big city where I didn't have to drive a car. And so in my mind, I was going to move, and I was going to work at an advertising agency in New York City. That's what I was going to do. And I don't know, somewhere along the way that didn't happen, and I ended up back here. But I still think we were in Boston last week, and I think I really am the city girl living in the country. I don't know what happened.
Scratch that itch with travel, I guess, or who knows, maybe when you're empty nesters, right? You got those three kiddos. So you mentioned wanting to at some point open up a practice that had your own energy and essence and brand experience and all of those things. Tell us about what is the Look Shop like now? Like, I think it'd be helpful to talk about sort of the dynamic too of expansion and where you brought the business today.
Well, the Look Shop started as we want a medical clinic that is aesthetics. And we started with just aesthetics. We do a lot of wellness now, but we were just aesthetics. And we want it to be medically based. We want it to be educationally focused and outcomes driven. That was our mission from the get-go and we wanted it to be beautiful. We wanted it to be felt like concierge and feel wonderful when you were in there, the way it smelled, the way, the fabric felt on the chairs, like every little detail. But we also wanted to know the patient to know that when they were coming in, that they were getting true medical care. In our area, a lot of people, the only way they knew Botox was like it would pop up in like a boutique at like a hair salon or a clothing boutique would do a party at night and they'd do Botox on everyone. And I didn't want people to get that impression of what medical, because I think it's such a dynamic industry and such a dynamic medical treatment, but people just got the wrong impression of it. So our goal was to create a place that was, medically sound, but also a wonderful experience. So
that's awesome. So talk to me about what it's been like having a business with your sister, like the honest pros and cons.
So like I said, we have done, it's kind of funny. We have 4 years difference. I'm older. We both, we did everything growing up because we rode horse. We both were competitive equestrians. So we both competed and were with each other every single weekend for most of our entire life. And then I went to college and she, was younger. So she was back in high school. Then she came to Georgia right after, as soon as I was leaving, she was coming in. And then we went to nursing school together, went to nurse practitioner school together. So we had done all these things together. And so it almost just like kind of rolled into, let's start a business together. It worked. It works really well. And we did a good job of setting up our responsibilities from the get-go of like, which is really funny because she actually was in part charge of the marketing and like the social media and all of that kind of stuff, which she just naturally has more of an affinity for than I do. And I was more in charge of like the business stuff, the numbers and the, payroll and all those little things when you're getting started. So we just split it up. And so that worked really, really well. And we are definitely opposite personality types. And so it almost works to our advantage that we don't have the same, because like I can get a little bit of analysis paralysis and kind of making things perfect. And she's more of like fly by the seat of her pants personality. So it works well. We know how to argue really well, I think. Like if there's a conflict, we know how to resolve it because we grew up in the same house having to resolve issues.
Good point.
It's gotten a little bit hard. She's in a little bit different, like she has much smaller kids than I do. So she's got a lot more responsibility with them. So as we've gotten, like as things have grown, it's gotten a little bit harder to figure out our exact responsibilities because we have hired people now to do things. So like now we have an in-house marketer and we have, we have a director of operations. And so like, that's moving into a practice manager. So we've kind of, both of us have had to over the last year, I think, really kind of figure out like, what is our role? And so that's where I think the new, like if there's been any conflict, that's kind of been like figuring out how we're going to kind of divide up what we do now. So we're kind of still working through that. She's taken a little bit more of like the head of aesthetics and like, I'm kind of leaning towards the wellness side is where we're kind of at with that right now, kind of like heading up those areas. So,
yeah, I mean, and you're both providers. So it's like the duality of trying to figure out how to become the CEO and lead the business and build the business, right? And also where you both fit into all of that.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a bit because I have fond memories of Jolee. I envision it like you fighting with yourself. Like I swear we had your calendar right in front of you and you were like, I can't to pull out of the treatment room. It was just like, it was like you were dying to do it, but it felt almost impossible at the time. So let's talk about a little bit about as the Look Shop has grown, how your role has shifted from being that provider to leading a larger team. What has that transition been like for you? Talk to me about that.
I mean, it's probably, that has been the hardest thing. And you know that, and Krista knows that. And I still struggle with it. I still struggle with, if somebody calls, I'll try to push them in my schedule, or yes, I'll come in on this day and see you. That's fine. That's your only day. But I reached out to you. I just remembering back why I reached out. I was at like my wit's end when I reached out, and was like, I need help. It was literally like we were on our like discovery call, and I was like, I just need help. Like, I don't know what to do. I am trying to do the inventory. I'm trying to pay the payroll. I'm trying to see all the patients. We're doing all of our own social media. But I think just through the training and just talking through it and like empowering myself to say, that's okay that I'm not going to be available to you, to everything everybody wants. And I'm going to set boundaries on my schedule, and I'm going to live by them, because I think I one time said, well, I get bullied back into the treatment room. And Kaylee says, who's bullying you? And I'm like, I mean, everybody. Everybody. And she's like, well, who's allowing that? And I was like, well, I guess it's me. I guess I'm allowing that to happen. So I have really, really, I'm still not quite where I want to be as far as schedule, but I'm definitely in a place now where I can work on the business, not always in the business. And actually, I will say last week, I think it was last Monday, our staff did, I think, one of our highest revenue days ever. And neither myself nor Byerly, my sister, was in the office seeing patients. So
that's incredible.
Knowing that they can do it.
Yeah, congratulations. So you had this like moment where you realized like doing more just isn't the answer here, and there's something deeper. I need to make this shift. And I think like it's that struggle, right? I think a lot of the women here can relate. It's the conflict between stepping out of the treatment room to build this something of great impact and bigger and wanting to scale and grow, but also you're also leaving a piece of you that like loves the work, that's your passion, right? Like that is that internal conflict that you have. So let's talk a little bit about that. What are some of or what's maybe a habit or something that you've had to eliminate in order to make yourself a better leader to build in that way?
I think the biggest thing for me is allowing other people to do things, because I will say we are like, when we started our business, we were we just wanted it to be the best experience ever for the patient. We want and for anybody who came in the door, and it was everything from like the way that they were greeted to the way that they, interacted with with the coffee made. I mean, every little detail. And then that kind of led into like every little detail with every handout that went out there, just being so like hands-on every single thing. And I had to just let that go and know that other people could do it. And they could, if I gave them the vision of like, if they knew what we wanted and they were the right person, they were going to uphold it. And I think that I, as a leader, I thought that just by trying to stay in control of all of that was how I was leading. And I think by now I'm empowering people to do things that I really thought, well, I have to do it. And I have to do it. And then I think I told Krista last week, I was like doing something and I was like, I just realized I don't have to do that. Like I was creating like an onboarding sheet or something. And I was like, somebody else can create that and then bring it back to me to like look at and decide if it's the right thing or not. So I think I was just so worried nobody could uphold the brand that I wanted. And there's been moments where I've had to go and say, like, I didn't really like the card stock that we used on our Christmas cards. Like that kind of bothered, but like I need to let them know that so that we can just, moving forward we do. But I get so into stuff like that, and it can be a little bit like just kind of paralyzes you to move forward when you get that nitpicky about stuff. I'm not as reactive to things, like things that used to really get me upset. Like I would just like lose sleep over. I just let them like, we'll fix it tomorrow. We'll work on it tomorrow. We'll sit down and have that conversation with that employee tomorrow. Like it's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's so mature, and there's so much wisdom behind that. And I can certainly relate. I think that there's when it's just you, you do it exactly the way you want, right? You don't have to translate that vision to anybody else. You don't have to mentor or have the patience to go back and communicate and recalibrate or pivot somebody else in a different way. But I personally remember having like the angel devil conversation with myself where I was like, no one can do it like me. And I was like, wow, you think you're so good, Kaylee, huh? Like if no one can do it like you, obviously you're not that good. You don't know how to teach somebody how to do it that way, you know? And I remember having like that fight with myself about like, if you're that good, then somebody can do it like you. You just have to recalibrate, right? And it does have that, it requires letting go of control, which is hard for us.
Very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard. I mean, I can do, like, I tell people, like, if everybody left tomorrow, I can run everything in this practice. Like, I can do everything. Like, and I'm like, that's not healthy. That is not, no. But I got burned early on by an employee. And I think, and we've, all of us have talked about like that employee that, you trained, you taught them everything you knew, you started handing your patients off to them. And then they just kind of up and leave and, start a business down the road. And I think that kind of made me a little bit gun shy, but now I'm just kind of much more like they don't have, even if they take what you teach them, they don't have the vision. They don't know what you're doing, and just let them.
Yeah. Do you look at that now as a gift? It's a weird question, but like, do you feel like you've grown from that in that way?
Yes. And I don't worry about it anymore. And I love to teach. There's nothing I love more than like teaching a new provider and, going into the room with them. And now I just don't worry about it. I just, the one that left though, she has a billboard across the street from my new office in Macon. And I have to look at her picture every single day when I'm
she's on the billboard.
She's on the billboard.
Yeah. I guess that says a lot.
That's so fun.
Yeah, you know what? But it's a reminder of I think all you can do, right, is like look at the world as half glass full if you want to grow and have a growth mindset to like be able to move forward and not paralyze yourself from that experience. But such a blessing of like, someday when you're 80 years old and you're sitting in your rocking chair, you're not going to think about that. You're going to think about the impact that you made and all of the people that you were able to provide opportunity for in and outside of your practice, And so I think it's kind of a weird blessing that you get to look at that every day because it reminds you of how impactful you are and how much, you did for even her, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. And I always I kind of go with everything is for, like, we always say everything's for you, not against you. You just might not know it yet. Like, you might not know what it is yet or why.
Yeah. Well, it makes me think of like,
reveal yourself. It reveals it.
Totally. But like your story of like growing up on a farm and like wanting to barter things and knowing that you wanted to like get in a business and then going for a marketing, like, it's almost like now this Jolee could look back and see all of those pieces, like all those dominoes fell right into place and make perfect sense. But you just don't know at the time, right? Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I look back and I'm just like, I had no idea where I was going.
Yeah.
And like I said, I wanted to live in a city, but I love to travel and we go places all the time, and we're, an hour from Atlanta. So we got a good airport. And
I love it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your growth. So now you have expanded actually into two fully staffed locations, right? So your big, booming, successful, beautiful business, what is something that you thought would get easier as you grew, but actually got harder?
I definitely think thought having more people to help, to do more, like people to help run the payroll and people to help with inventory and all that stuff would make things easier. But managing all that was a lot harder, and it's a lot harder to get everybody started. I feel like luckily right now we're really in a good place, but more help doesn't necessarily mean easier. It's a lot more people to manage, but I do feel like we've kind of turned the corner with our systems and like using KPIs and really having expectations, and we're starting to really get in a rhythm. And I feel like now that's kind of calming down a little bit. Now
that's awesome.
Because we went from a team of 4. There was 4 of us that started this business. We had a front desk person, my sister and and then we had a girl that just kind of knocked on the door and said, I trained, paid to get myself trained. Can I come inject 1 or 2 days a week? And she's still with us. She still just works 1 or 2 days a week, but that was it. And now there's 15 of us. And
so when you think back to that version of you, even 2 years ago, right? What was she afraid of that you're just not afraid of anymore?
I was definitely afraid of like big business, like big numbers and manage and being responsible for employee. Like I feel very responsible for my staff, like their payroll. Like, I want them to get paid and I want them to get paid well and I want them to be appreciated. And when you own a business, you're responsible for them and their families and they depend on you. And I kind of wanted to play small for a long, like when the idea came to open the second location, I was adamantly no. I was like, no, 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 and no.
Sounds like a no.
And I was like, and I was like, it's just so much responsibility. It's more patience. It's more, but then, then I sat down and processed it and like kind of thought about how much more impact we could make if we did expand. And it's actually been a really, really good move. But it was definitely 2 years ago. I would never have thought that would have happened. I was pretty happy with just doing our little thing in our small town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, famous last words, right? So, and speaking of expansions, so then you've expanded the Look Shop now beyond aesthetics to include wellness services. So let's talk a little bit about that evolution and how you see wellness complementing your patient journey.
So I guess what prompted the wellness part of it was bringing on a GLP-1 program. I think like most people, that's kind of how you kind of start the dip in the toes into it. What I will warn against is if you start to look at people and you start to help them lose weight and you start to try to figure out why they can't lose weight or why GLP-1s, you start figuring, you got to figure, if you're like me, I have to figure it all out. So it was never going to be we could never be a weight loss clinic. Like I have to know. So then it expanded to hormones and now it's just a full medical concierge program, which is definitely going to expand largely next year, and become more of a program than just like kind of a la carte as it is now. But what you find is that when you're speaking to people and they're in your chair and you're talking about their face and they start to tell you other things and you realize that it's not just the way they look on the outside that's not the reason their confidence is low or they're tired or they're stressed and they're telling you all these things. And as healthcare providers, I think we want to help. And so I really have just really started to see the whole person. And I think that's the other thing about nursing. The nursing education really does train on the holistic patient. And so I think that's kind of how it's kind of ingrained in us as nurse practitioners. And so now I literally can't even look at a patient now without thinking about I'm doing their sculpture and I'm like, are you on hormones? And then they're talking, well, I really like to lose some weight before I get that done. Let's do that. So it just kind of it just naturally kind of blended together. And now it really has become a thing where most people, they don't all cross over, but they eventually, a lot of them, as they start to feel better about themselves from losing weight, they want to cross over and they want to fix their skin and things like that. So yeah, I can't even, I used to think it's really hard to put them together, but now I can hardly separate them. It's like they really do work together.
Yeah. I mean, well, now when you put it that way, it's almost funny that it was never just one industry, because if you think about how me as a patient, I want to show up and help me not look tired. And it's like, well, what if you just weren't tired?
Right.
Or all the things so they're just so, we are one human being. And I agree with you. I just can't imagine where this industry is even headed.
Well, and it's also they come and we spend an hour talking about their face and how we can improve their skin. And they're like, I want someone to take this time and listen to me about other stuff. So the biggest feedback we get is for our wellness side is you just sat there and let me listen to me for an hour and let me I tell you everything that I needed to, that's been bothering me. And then you said, like, you said, like, let's get labs and let's look at it and let's try to fit it. And so I think people just really appreciate healthcare providers taking time with them. Like, no matter what they're doing, they just want they want to be seen and they want to be heard. And whether it be their aesthetics or their wellness or whatever. And that's where I think that most of our best feedback has come from, is that patients just enjoy, and they enjoy coming here, because nobody wants to go to the doctor anymore and sit, for an hour to be seen for 15 minutes and be dismissed on some of their issues that they're having. So,
well, it's such the lost art, right? Like listening and actually spending time. And we talk about this because, right, we're a business academy, and it's like, it's interesting because maybe really focusing on like how many patients you can see in a day isn't the ultimate KPI, right? Like maybe how many people could you impact to what level of depth and intimacy to the point that they trust you. So as you grow as a business and you continue to innovate and you continue to bring new opportunities to them, they're just, hands open, right? And they're there for it.
Yeah, and they really appreciate it. And I like to tell them, like, we're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to advise you on what would be beneficial to you and then help you, but you're driving the car. And I think that's been lost, where they're just told and people are like, I'm going to get this medicine and I have no idea what it's for, or they just told me to take it. And so I really I think we do a really good job of giving people all the information, educating them, but then giving them the ability to decide what they want to do and how they want to proceed. And I think that that's kind of the lost art in the traditional health model.
I'm so excited to share that for the first time ever, we're launching Confidence to Scale live in person. It is a recalibration of our always sold out coaching program, CTS, Confidence to Scale. This January 9th and 10th, we'll be launching a 90-day coaching incubator designed for high-performing female founders who are ready to grow differently, stronger, clearer, calmer, with conviction. This is a high-touch leadership experience that blends strategy, accountability, and execution, the trifecta that actually moves your business forward. So we'll begin together January 9th and 10th in Manhattan Beach for an intimate 2-day immersive event, surrounded by salty ocean air, deep conversation, and women who think like you do. You'll step away from the noise and into the clarity you're craving. Together, we'll design your 2026 growth plan line by line, defining the priorities, the systems, and the structures that will carry you through the next level of scale. Then, over the following 90 days, you'll be guided personally with customized private coaching, live strategic workshops, and direct accountability that ensures you're not just planning differently, you're executing differently. This CTS program has been the single most sought after coaching program we've ever created at KLC. It's built on the foundations that build businesses that stand alone, competitionless, that support, uplift, and fuel its founder, and that sets leaders up to scale sustainably. If you're ready to lead differently, to scale with strategy, confidence, and calm, I want to personally invite you to join us, because this isn't just about growing your business. It's about becoming the kind of woman who can hold the success that she's been working toward all along. So let's set that intention together. It's time to stop carrying the weight of growth alone and start leading with the systems and the confidence and the support that your next level demands. If you're ready to step into your next level of leadership, let's jump on a call and make sure this is the right fit for you. You can learn more about the program and find a link to book a call at klcconsultants.com/CTS. Again, that's klcconsultants.com/CTS. How do you train your team to approach your customers like that through their experience?
Well, I'm very blessed. The nurse practitioners that do the wellness side of things, both came in very passionate about helping people. And so they've been super easy to train, but they usually, they shadow me for a while. And then I have started creating classes that I'll just do classes for them. I just do them internally now. Like I don't do anything else with them. But like we're like in January, we'll do a peptide class and so I kind of like teach them and we'll do that. And then once they feel like they understand something, then then they will start offering that service. So, but I've been super blessed with the staff that I have. And my aesthetics when I train them, they usually start as just my assistant. Like I let them assist and then they slowly start to start doing that.
Tell us more about that. We talked yesterday in one of our masterminds about the idea of a mentor, a fellowship program, or, talk to us about like that process and how that's worked for you, having them come in as an assistant. How do you what's that look like logistically?
So it really wasn't designed necessarily like that. So we were talking yesterday and I was thinking, I really actually love the idea. And I think that's how I'm probably, if I bring any more aesthetic injectors on, I'm definitely bringing on like that. Both of mine started as they were RNs. Both of them were RNs. So I hired them as RNs to do IVs and to assist with, bringing patients back, injections, things like that. And then said, if you're interested in aesthetics, I'll train you. Like I didn't charge them anything. I just we paid them and but they would get the pictures. They would assist in the room. They'd set the rooms up. Then I let them start, marking and I just love to teach. Like I said, I love to teach. So I would just talk as I was going through it. And then we would just kind of move from there to like finding the patients that would let them practice and do things like that. And that's kind of how I got the ones down. Now they're independent, like they're doing their own things. So that's kind of how I train the aesthetic side. Wellness is a lot harder, but they'll usually do a class with like a pellet class. So we do pellets and they'll do that through the companies. And then I'll just do a lot of my own like I set up mentoring times and sit down and we do case studies and stuff like that. So wow. I find that very fun. That's my like flow state is like teaching and doing case studies and stuff. So I find that super enjoyable. It does not feel like work to me. So I try. Wow. So my new year is that I'm going to do more of that. So that's where I'm going to get out of the room more and do more of that. I think y'all heard it. Hold me accountable.
Wait, you say you're lucky you have a great team. I would probably say I bet you if I was interviewing them, they would say we're lucky we have a leader. I can't imagine. I mean, I think I'm probably not speaking for just myself here that the thought of spending all this time presenting case studies and mentoring and teaching and doing internal trainings, there's just this conflict of how do I know that that's going to be worth it when I know we could all just be really productive and making money in the moment, So listening to you, what I'm hearing is that you strongly believe that you just told the story. We just had our highest revenue earning day ever. And those were my NPs, right? And my team who ran that. And I can only imagine that that's why. So, would you say that one of the key rocks to building a great culture is this training and mentorship that you invest in for your team?
Absolutely. I just personally feel like if you just pour into your staff with education and I think education empowers. Mm-hmm. And so I think that if you pour into them, then they will give you that back in return. But I will also say with that, that nothing has been more beneficial to us than setting up expectations with them of what's expected of them when we pour into them. And we're on month 3 of KPI, like true KPIs, sitting down on the scorecard. Literally, it's like the copy of what you teach on. We just copied it and set them up, and they love it. Like we do a thing every morning in our morning huddle where every staff member says their rose from the day before, like what was their best thing of the day, their thorn, and then what their opportunity for the day is. And everyone, when they sit down and do their KPI scorecard, they always say, well, my rose yesterday was my KPI scorecard, because they love to see wins. They like to see themselves getting, like, My utilization went from 55% to 75%.
I'm waiting for this chat to blow up right now. Okay.
I mean, I'm not trying. It was a ton of work to get them together. It was a ton of work to get them ready. Thank you, Shannon, for the prompts. Like, it was a ton of work. I think I spent probably 2 or 3 full days doing them, and like wasn't even done, but like had the like templates. But it has been a game changer, and there's no conversation about, well, I think I'm doing great, and you're like, well, you're not doing great. Like, it's black and white. It is black and white.
They're like, we don't want to do the work. Just give us yours. That's good.
It was hard trying to figure out what.
It's like it's in the membership site. Yeah, it's true. Right. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I feel like you have to have, if you just pour into them, but you don't have anything to measure it by, I don't think that they like, you can quantify the growth.
So let's talk about that. How do you quantify? Like what's an example of a KPI that you're like, hey, I'm pouring into you, I'm mentoring you. Now you have this next level of experience, knowledge, competency. So this is the expectation. What does that look like? Just,
So, I mean, some of ours for like our MPs are their rebooking rates. So they should be like, the patient should be loving their services and rebooking. Crossover services, they're crossing them over. We're teaching them aesthetics and wellness. So they're crossing over so the patient is not just doing one or the other. Their enhancements. So like they're adding like an IV to a wellness patient, or they're adding a VI appeal to a tox patient, like enhancements on that. Let's see, what else is there? I'm trying to think what other ones they're there. They're not coming all to my top of my head. I'm trying to think. There's some other ones.
Yeah, so it's essentially the things that you as a company are going to drive growth, that they can have they have to attend
80% of trainings. So they have to be engaged. Let's see what else. Yeah, I can't think of any right now.
That's okay. Do you ever get pushback from your clinical providers that feels salesy in any way?
When they first come on, yes. That's been I think when we first hire them, that's the hardest thing, that especially if they're coming out of a traditional medicine office where they don't care because insurance is
right
for everything.
Right.
But once I feel like we teach them, we actually do, per Krista's recommendation, we do role play. And we go through and we practice the consults, and we from start to finish, and we talk about education. And so I think somebody one time said, you edu-sell. So you educate them to sell. But I think the biggest thing is their confidence. When their confidence goes up on what they're doing, and their knowledge is stronger, they don't have to sell anymore, because it just comes out that you need this, and it's very confident. So yes, I feel like in the beginning it's really hard, and then they start to really like get it. I think our retail sales have been the hardest, because people just don't want to, like, after they've sold them like a big service, they don't want to necessarily go out there and put some product out there. But we've just taught them how the products can enhance it and stuff, and we've been working. And we went from abysmal retail sales to this past week was our best retail sales ever. And actually we're like $500 off our goal. So we're getting there. It's just a process.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's uncommon. I feel like it's kind of the big elephant in the room. Do you have to, in order to be a successful injector or a successful retail medicine provider, you have to sell, right? Like, the business needs sales to operate, but then you want to hire somebody that's like comfortable with that has that energy and like that ability and it factor, but then you don't want them to be salesy. And I kind of feel like what I'm hearing from you is hire somebody who's really excited and passionate about the work they do, and educate them, empower them to be so good at what they do that they don't feel like they're selling.
Absolutely. Because I hate sales. Like, I would have told you before I got into this industry, I couldn't sell anything to anybody. I couldn't sell somebody an umbrella when it was raining. Like, I mean, and I'm still not the best at retail sales. Like, it's still not I still have to really work at it and feel, really into and get the vibe from the patient that they're into it and like all that. But I usually can just sell it because I just, educate them on why they need it. And they're like, okay, that sounds great, but yeah, I think that I don't love a salesy, and I don't want my staff to be salesy. And so I think we also mimic that from what they see us as they're training with us. They see how we do it. And my front desk, so my front desk for Scythe is a male. And somebody should just call our office. I'm telling you, he can give a master class on front desk selling like hydrofacial or what. I mean, it's amazing. We have podiums so we can go back and listen to the message. And some days, and I'll be like, staff meeting, I'll be like, y'all all have to listen to this master class on how to sell a 3 set of cool pill lasers, like to somebody who called in for. Because he was, hey, I'll be like, no, girl, you one is not going to do it. You got to get 3. And they're like, okay.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to invite him into the Practice Manager Academy to give us.
He's amazing. We're going to have him actually. He's been with me from the beginning, and he's going to actually do a class on customer service for our team at our, like a little mini class at our next staff meeting on just what he does. Because he's just amazing. He's amazing.
That's awesome. That helps.
But he taught me a lot. So that's why I like to learn from what other people's strengths are, too. I think identifying strengths within the team and then letting them help us like everybody else learn.
Yeah. Well, I love something I have enjoyed learning about you is kind of watching you have this curiosity about you. Like, you're very coachable. You ask a lot of questions. I think you don't always come in and say, I have this whole answer, I know all of the things, but like you want to explore, I don't know, like, how could I do it better? I just always get that energy from you. And I can only imagine like that is something that helps your team, one, obviously emulate that, but 2, gives you the ability to then extract all of those strengths out of the people that you also employ.
Yes, but sometimes it can drive them crazy. Because I will be like, I read this new book and now we've got to do this, 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 and this. And they're like, hold on.
Yeah.
Like, for example, we have a program. I love this program, but the staff was like, another new thing. And my marketing girl was like, do I have to be in charge of it? But I read the Unreasonable Hospitality book, and I was like, I love the little touches. And they was like, I empower them to like give a gift or do whatever. And I was like, we're in the room with the patients and they'll tell us like, my dog died, or my daughter's getting married, or, whatever it may be. Or we do a lot of like post-cancer support for some of our patients with IV therapy. But we'll know when their last day of chemo is or whatever. And I was like, I want little ways to like acknowledge that we heard them, but not make like a big fanfare. So we do a thing called Thoughtful Little Smiles, which we stole it off of like TLS is our initials, and we use that a lot. And so any staff member is empowered to go in and put the patient's name, the event, and it automatically sends an email to my marketing girl who loves this new job that she has. And then she's empowered to send a card. We kind of had to standardize what we were doing because we were just kind of sending whatever, but we do like a card, or we'll do like a little gift box for a bride, so we have like kind of all these little things. And
love that.
When I started it, I was like, I put it together in like 3 days. 3 days I had it all like, I'm like, we're going to roll this out. And everybody's like, pump the brakes. How is this going to work? Who's in charge? I'm like, it's just such a great idea. We got to get started. So I do that a lot. So I have to like pull it back and be like, okay, everything I'm interested in, every new thing I learn, I can't just throw at the staff. But that program has been really helpful just because the staff feels like they can do something without having to like go ask and get permission and all that kind of stuff. So,
I mean, so much beauty in this whole thing. One, that's you going out and finding inspiration from outside of, right? Bringing it back, coming up with the idea, and then enrolling a team to then execute it and turn it into a system that then folds back into the excellent, like exceptional level of service and care for your patients. It's just a beautiful story.
but I couldn't have done that. Like, I look back, I can't do stuff like that if I'm bogged down, like with all the stuff I used to be. So I would not have been able to even have the creativity to like get there 2 years ago or even a year ago.
Well, even, I mean, look, like you're reading that book, which is a recommendation inside of like Fierce Factor Society. Like you don't even need to be spending time, but you're constantly trying to scan and take in, information and learn. So I'm not surprised, the success that you've had. So I want to ask you about, you talked about, KPIs and SOPs and systems and systematizing, and now, that's critical to expansion. What steps have you taken to build stronger systems in your practice? What's like an example that someone could take away that, okay, this is something I probably should focus on or implement into my practice?
So I will absolutely say the number one thing that we have done is we have an SOP on everything, and they are now organized. They're not just a bunch of thrown into a drive like everywhere. They're all organized by like a clinical department managed, and wherever they fall in HR, and they're all in a spreadsheet with a Google Doc attached. They're even branded and pretty now because I don't like ugly things. and so anybody can go on that spreadsheet and find their SOP for whatever topic they need. And I've also taught the staff how to write SOPs. So now I probably wrote, 300 of them, but now I'll be like, I need you to do this. And then I also need you to write the SOP on it. And then let me know when it's done so we can look at it.
Perfect.
You cannot expand without that. There's just no way, because I couldn't be. And I think expanding actually really helped me because I couldn't be in two places. So I had to relinquish some control. And that was the way I could relinquish control with still kind of controlling it.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what's the saying? It's hands off, eyes on, hands off. Right. You always have your eyes on it, but doesn't mean you're in there doing it. It's like I think that's, it's like the classic sort of dilemma and opportunity and all of the things rolled into being into leadership is that how much am I there to support, right? Holding those high expectations with those high levels of support and, that dance. It's like with our kids. It's like, how much do I need to be involved, but make sure. And, I think one lesson we can all take away from you, Jolee, is just that the lesson of scaling up requires letting go of control. And so like that, I loved the Christmas card stock. It's like the perfect example. Like how much, like honestly, hands up, how many people would freak out over like the wrong texture of like, what is this thing on my Christmas card? Like probably all of us,
Yeah.
You have to get over it.
And I told my husband, I was like, I think the card is beautiful. I like the print. I love everything about it, but I need to tell her that I don't like the weight of the paper. He looked at me and he was like, you are losing it. And I was like, you just don't understand. Like, it's just that, because I really think that everything is, you have to see it, touch it, feel it, smell it. We have, aromatherapy. One time they changed the aromatherapy. We always have done white tea. That is our scent. And it got changed. And I was like, I walked in, I was like, what is wrong with the scent? It smells like living in here. It's not supposed to smell like living in here. Everybody's like, what? And I was like, and I'm not really like that reactive to things. Like I'm pretty calm and I'll like kind of get my thoughts before I'm not an exploder. But little things like that, I like get all like about. So now I know, just write it all down, and it's in an SOP of like how the office is supposed to, where you order it from, what scent.
Yep. Perfect. I love that. How do you think business and leadership coaching has helped you scale your business?
I'm not sure I wouldn't be in the mental institute without it. I mean, I kid when I started the Leadership Academy, I literally was in desperation mode. It was like I'm either can't do this, I'm going to burn out, and we're never going to make any progress, or I've got to fix this. And I came in, and honestly, I didn't even like set this. I think I said this in the other times. I didn't set the time. I was like, I'll just watch the recordings. It's fine. I'll just watch the recordings. And I did that for a while. And while it helped because I would just pull all the stuff and do it, when I committed to the time, that was the first thing. I just blocked my schedule. It was the first thing I did. I blocked my schedule and I said, I'm going to these classes. I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to make it happen. I'm not going to watch the recordings. And that was me like empowering myself to do that. And it kind of snowballed from there. And then also just really the focus on systems and like systems and expectations and how to look at things from another person, like the employee's perspective. Like if they're upset about something or you're upset with them, like, sitting down and having like Chris's like ways to communicate with them and talk to them and have a conversation. All of that, I just never would have grown. And I don't think we'd be where we are now. I just don't think we would have. And I am absolutely like loving it now. Like now I just want to do more and more and more. And I think it's definitely a snowball effect. I think if you just really commit, you just start to see more and more. You can commit to more and more.
Yeah. Well, I personally will attest to, I've seen your growth. It's been incredible. And now you're a big sister in our academy.
Yes.
Yay.
And I'm super excited about that because, I want, number one, it's wonderful to be able to talk to people who do what you do and experience what you experience. I think the retreat in Maine was just like life-giving for us to just run ideas or just like problems and just kind of like get it all out and vent and not have to, because you're a little lonely at the top. Luckily, I feel blessed because I have a sister who we can like, no, and get it out together. But yeah, it's been awesome. And so I hope that I can, and I also hope that I can really encourage someone who's coming new to really jump in, dive all in and commit from the beginning so that they really can get the most out of it.
Awesome. So just a couple more questions for you. I'm curious, standing from the perspective that you're in now, having built this successful business, what do you wish more female founders knew about the realities of growing a business like yours?
I think that you need to know that you can do it. Because I think the little voices in our head tell us a lot of times that we're not good enough or that that you can't do it. And I don't think you should let barriers. A lot of people were like, y'all are crazy opening up a aesthetics studio in a 4,500 people town. So I think if your vision is there and it's strong, that you should go with it. But I think that you should definitely know, like, it's not just the vision. You have to have the like structure behind it too. Like there has to be systems. If you want to grow something if you want to build something that's going to grow, otherwise I think you would just be stagnant and that's tough. Yeah, I think that's mainly it.
Well, I think too, the other part you need to give yourself a lot of credit for you when you said, I think it'd be in a mental institution, right? The point is too, it's surviving. The ups and downs are going to happen. And so it's developing that emotional resilience too. In fact, a town of 4,500, you built the market and now you have your own employees that you trained popping their face up on billboards across the street from you. Like that's literally what you've created and what you've done. And that's not taking you out, right? So that's because you've done the emotional and the mental work to like overcome those kinds of adversities.
Yes, definitely. And I feel like, yes, if you're going to be, an entrepreneur in any way, shape or form, the highs are high and the lows are really low. And I feel like the highs don't last very long. But I think that's also like most of us are so driven that we're on to the next thing by the time. Sure. And I think we aren't good at celebrating, even though we try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love to end this on a high by asking you, and this is a totally open-ended question just for you to think however this comes to your brain, but what are you most proud of in your life?
am most proud of being a example to my children. Even though I feel like at times we feel mom guilt about not being as much with them and missing things, I think that I hear little things come out of their mouth about, what they want to do when they grow up. And my middle child wants to, she literally wants to take over the look shop. That's her dream. And so I think that makes me the most proud, is to be an example of someone who works hard and makes things happen. And I think I told everybody, but recently I just, got Businesswoman of the Year for our town. And, it was exciting to me, but what's more exciting was the kids were so excited about it. So I think that's probably the thing, is showing them that you can really do anything you put your mind to.
Oh, I love that. Well, I can only imagine, you're the offspring of you, Jolee. I can't even imagine what she's going to do in that town.
She's already wanting to start her own teen line. She's like, can I start my own teen line of skincare? I was like, I don't have another business in me right this second, but maybe give me a year.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, I just want to thank you, because not only have you created that role model of what's possible for your own children, but also for so many of us here in this academy and women that are going to listen to this podcast and get to train with you and experience the brilliance that you have. And truly your authentic, just humanness too, is just so refreshing. And it's just great to have gotten to know you and watch your growth and be a part of that. So I appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today. How can people come and follow your journey and help your Instagram algorithm or whatever? What can we all do for you?
So, well, we have our Instagram is at @thelookshop_aesthetics. And then our website is lookshop.com. And just like it, reach out. If anyone has any questions, feel free to email me, Jolee at the Look Shop. I love answering questions. You can also send me messages on, and hopefully meet up at conferences and things like that. But I'm very thankful for this space where we can all come together. It's been such a game changer for me, and I know it has for other people too. So reach out anytime with any questions. If you want to learn anything, you can also, I eventually might put some of my trainings out there in the world, but right now it's just not really where I'm at.
Yeah, I have a feeling Krista's probably got she can have a new hairbrain idea for you. Not that you need more to do, but no, that we would all love that. So thank you so much, Jolee. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Listen, leader, if you're vibing with me here, hang tight, because I have a brand new resource for you. You are a successful, confident, powerful woman who just isn't into being average. No, you have a calling, and part of that calling is requiring you to level up. And I know that if you're working to cross the next $1 million milestone in your business, you need to be in the right circles. And perhaps that's why you found us. I'd love to invite you to join The Blueprint, a weekly resource for inspired, provocative thinkers who are taking this conversation to the next level. Get access to free business tools, podcast supplements, guideposts, and direct communication with me and my expert team. And of course, a masterfully curated circle of women making big moves and disrupting the status quo in aesthetics and wellness. You can link directly through the show notes or head to klcconsultants.com/blueprint. It's time to elevate. See you there, goddess.